Wow.
Key, what statement did the Lions make?
Well, he is right. They are built to play outdoors. Again, one of my favorite philosophies in professional football is if you run the ball, solid and sound, you play action it, you got a hell of a defense that can get opportunities on that side of the ball, and your quarterback can simply be that, 18 to 23, 200 yards and a touchdown and don't turn the ball over, you're going to win a high percentage of your games. And that's where they're at. They're that type of team. They go into Green Bay, they take care of business with no problem at all. They just was physical. They just played the way you anticipate them to play. And Jared Goff was Jared Goff. He, again, what was he? He was 18 to 22, a buck 45.
Efficient.
I'm cool. I'm good with that. We're going to play defense, and we're going to get about 100 yards out of a running game. I'm good.
Yeah, it's so funny because everybody talks about, okay, when they got out here, when they made the trade and Jared Goff went to Detroit, and they said, the Rams wanted him to go up the field more. What his style is perfect for Detroit because they want to run the ball. They want their passing game is an extension of the running game. They run a lot of crossing routes, and one of the best in the league in Amon St. Brown in playing the middle of the field. I mean, you go 81%. You go 81% in games, not just this game. In games this season, he has been doing that. So this team says to me right now, the way they're playing, that we're the best team in football right now. So many ways to attack you. This team has so many ways. Then they got a thunder lighting set up in that running back room that is as good as any running back room we got in the National Football League. Detroit told me that right now we can play like this outside. We're the best team in the NFL. And we're not that old Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they continue to check the boxes off week after week because it's like they'll beat Minnesota and be like, oh, they got lucky, field goal at the end, but then they go on the road, and we know how they did Dallas. But the thing is, everybody coming into this game was like, well, the elements now, they're an indoor team.
Outside, right.
Another box checked. You know what I'm saying? Every weekend. And so I have them the best team in the NFL. And when I look at it, and some of the points that Key makes, when you can run the ball and play action, it makes them very difficult to defend. And on top of the front line, the offensive line, I mean, you just can't, it doesn't get any better than the Detroit Lions front line. And so, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs are undefeated. The Lions have one loss, and Baltimore has, 3 losses? I think the Chiefs undefeated are the third best team in the NFL.
See, I'm not ready to say Detroit's the best team in the NFL yet because I want to see a full, healthy San Francisco. I want to see a healthy Philadelphia. And then I want to see
We should talk about San
what
Francisco.
Philadelphia would look like up against them in a head-to-head because they're physical too. I want to see that.
Yeah, but I want
to see it.
I think that counts in their favor to a certain degree in this sense. They have lost their best defensive player, and they have played very good football, even after losing. So everybody has people out, but they're still showing up and playing. Aiden Hutchinson was probably, at the time he got hurt, Defensive Player of the Year.
Correct.
And they're still rolling without him. So I think that gives them some kudos.
I think they've certified they're the best team in the NFC, and they're the second best team in the league to me because even though Kansas City maybe doesn't look as spectacular as them, Kansas City has so much equity as far as a postseason team and what they're capable of at any given moment against any opponent to still be undefeated to me. And obviously we'll find out if they stay that way tonight. But right now, they've got to still be the best team. But the Lions are 1A to me. And what I really like about what the Lions have done, you brought up Hutchinson. They've kept stride since losing him, which is important because he's one of the best players in the league at his position. Jared Goff's in the MVP conversation. The Packers are a really good team. You went on the road and beat them convincingly. I know like it is important when it gets cold outside, but it's a fall-winter sport. You should keep that in mind when you're building your roster that you might have to play outside in the cold occasionally.
Right, but also that short passing game works.
It works outside.
Yes, it is also. It was just raining.
Right.
There's a difference.
But the setup is a short passing game.
I would just say,
it wasn't cold
at
yet.
some point, this should be an important announcement. NFL teams, you play some games outside, they may be cold.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind moving forward.
But they don't.
When you're building your rosters, when you're building a team, you might have to go play somewhere in the cold occasionally.
You trying to talk to Miami?
Anybody who's
The
listening.
Dolphins will never be
The
built
Dolphins
like that.
refuse
They're not
to
gonna
build
be
their team
built
that
like
way.
They'll never win a Super Bowl.
We're not talking about the Dolphins right now. We're going to leave them somewhere else.
It's going to be
That's
plenty
for another
of
show.
Some teams that's in the cold aren't even built like that.
Yes, but I actually...
It's just interesting to hear you say it, Joy, and you are a Dolphin fan, and the Dolphins are the main culprit that suffers from
They
that.
always
Heard
be
the
the
Pittsburgh
culprit.
Steelers this year.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The Steelers are built for the cold every single year. But Detroit also coming off of the season that they came off last year to look this way, to have made improvements, to continue to be dominant, really feel, yes, it feels like they have the momentum and that they've capitalized on that. Because that doesn't always happen.
As long as Dan doesn't do some craziness.
They can win out.
I'm
You're
rolling
looking at
with
their
them.
schedule. They can
rolling with
actually
Detroit.
win out.
I like Detroit.
I mean, they got at
Their
Texas.
last,
Texas is banged up.
They got the Texans.
Next week at Texas, but
their
you know,
last
Texas
6 games
are banged up.
are pretty tough. You got Chicago
Yeah.
twice, Green Bay again,
Chicago's-
Buffalo, San Francisco, and the Vikings.
Yes, San Fran.
Indy gonna fight. Y'all act like Indy ain't gonna try to scrap. They gonna try to fight.
Key, you're saying something, and we'll talk about it over on Philadelphia side. But this going forward and all of this stuff, you know, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be aggressive. That Dan Campbell does. He has to be careful with that.
Gotta be careful.
That cost him last year.
Yes,
he
it
should
did.
have been in the Super Bowl last year, and it cost him. And I know we're going to talk about that with Nick over there in Philadelphia soon, but that's just something.
Situational football is very
Right,
important,
very
particularly when
important.
you get into the
And
postseason.
there's a
Can't get
difference
emotionally
between
caught
regular
up.
season.
Can't get emotionally caught
I
up.
don't know what we're talking about men's sports. I don't know what emotions are. Those don't exist. Looking at the Packers side of it now, Green Bay is 6-3 and currently holds the last wild card spot. So, Michael, how should they be feeling going into their bye week?
This is, and you know, when I looked at Green Bay last year and what they did to Dallas at the end of the season, we thought, okay, you picked up, just like we talked about Detroit, picking up this season and keep going forward. Green Bay has had some issues, and certainly with number 10 in the injury thing. And I think right now you get into a bye. This is what they call the perfect bye week for the NFL. You got the perfect bye week. You try to go get healthy, and mainly get him healthy and get back going this second half. Even though that second half schedule is not as easy. You come back, you got Chicago, San Fran, Miami, and Detroit. Back to Detroit before you go into Seattle and New Orleans. So it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule. But they get 10 healthy, they'll have a chance to win some of these games.
Well, at least they got San Francisco at home and Miami at home. So when you start talking about cold weather, you know, you laughing. Man, it's I'm just telling you, you got a Miami team going up there.
I mean, late into the winter, Miami has the advantage. It's very hot out there.
Miami loves that going to Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think when you're looking at that schedule right there. That's going to be tough. But then you go into
Sunday
Detroit
night, too.
and into Seattle. So that's a problem because you're having to travel. But I think in the end, Green Bay, they can get healthy and get this bye out, and they can just get healthy. They're headed in the right direction, but just get healthy.
Yeah, this is the perfect time for a bye for them. You definitely want to get Jordan Love rested up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just seems like I like what they've been doing. Jordan Love just hasn't been carrying that same aura he did like at the end of last year. You know, and maybe that's because of the injuries and, you know, and a couple of losses here and there. You feel like they should have played better in. I mean, they didn't look really good at all, you know, versus Green Bay. And we talk about before the season, this team is going to be a Super Bowl quality team. They look nothing like that. So hopefully, like you guys say, if they get healthy and Jordan Love, which is mainly Jordan Love, he gets healthy and he can get back on track and have the same type of finish he had last year, then they got something.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.